I don't get a lot. Boy, they won't booga me small. They say, man, give them bribe. I say, nothing. Okay, now, we go block later. You remember that contract we will do that time? They don't pay.
But first, you see the house rent with the whole since. We go first call caretaker, take the money, slap him.
Beg.
Prohibited in a work environment, and if such environment as aware has created an hostile atmosphere for her to go about her discharge of her duty or go about her normal duty, then there are instruments of law that could be invoked to ensure such atmosphere is arrested. And if I don't want to sound gender-based because it can happen to both male and female, but in the instance, especially
but for now, for this story,
for the sake of the story, she has approached the instrumentality expected to be deployed for our right to be safeguarded. So it's a call, and it's our reality. It cut across all spheres of life. So it's only unfortunate that most women, because of fear of perception, society, and lack of evidence, oftentimes you see matters like this get to the court and tell you that you're unable to prove the matter beyond reasonable doubt. But good enough that from the look of the story, there are substantial evidence enough to prove our case. And I hope with the capacity and the experience of our learning council, they will be able to get a fair hearing and justice.
I remember Professor Edinfon of Calabar, when it happened, it seems the students were actually accusing him until they started carrying, they carried a placard to protest. And because he spoke volume, they decided to do something. And in the long run, they started seeing some evidence. But at this point, do you think they would just let it go like that, despite the protest that was staged concerning this? And why should, is there no, this is a public office we're talking about. Are there no things that majors that should be able to at least protect the people working there, like CCTV camera, at least if you know that something of this nature is in a building, you will be heard.
There are some advances that is not, that cannot come under camera. For example, your text messages, emails, I can send you contents that are very offensive. I can give you certain gestures that connotes that where the camera is off, there are certain discussions that are taking place. And I'm making those gestures. I could also ensure that I keep you beyond your normal working hours. I also deprive you of certain privileges on grounds that there have been advances, and somehow, because she's a married woman, and of course, many women, male alike, faces some of this reality, but there again, you have a way of, snapping it off, and somebody will get that message. But you see an unrepentant and somebody who is a serial, sexual harasser in that regard, and is still saying that he will go all out. So at that point, you just have to. So basically, in well-organized organization, both in public sector and private sector, there are instance law, that are in place to ensure that the rights of persons, subjected to this kind of, harassment alike are taken care of. So the laws knows it well. The reason why the head of service is even being involved, because there are weighty allegations with proven evidences, and of course expecting that the head of service should be able to. Now, protester, that's my interest aspect of the story, is that those who probably are involved in the protest could also have suffered such, and that there's no one to advocate for them. So galvanizing support of that nature, it could be like, if you probably pry further, you will see that some of these persons, maybe directly or indirectly, some could probably have been denied certain privilege or promotion, or some very recommendations or during appraisals, and they are turned down because some of them don't just want to dance, to the tune of such advances. So basically, and good enough, it has actually been blown out of proportion because maybe it's a norm that such matters doesn't get to the news, or they will just most likely, there could be also an internal mechanism not approved that could tell you that you should be silent about it so that you will not, bring the image of the ministry or the organization into disrepute or such scandal. It could probably, those kind of stuff. Even there are some sensitive professions also that fan and harm, allow such, to happen. And unfortunately for women, I've seen several instances at that. But there again, there could be internal instrument and external instrument where person's rights could be, well protected. So the same thing, I think that enough evidence, for how long it will fly, I may not be able to say. But so that it makes it to the news, implying that the offender or the accuser in this matter will know that there are trouble days, awaiting him if he doesn't know how to, wriggle out of the mess.
Does it look like this is going to bring down the political career of the...
Somebody in that nature is already, as an ambassador, and almost at the twilight of his career, is practically preparing to get retired or something. So it's just one of those. Some will tell you it's a man's world. He will most likely want to have his way, but I don't think so. Yes, a statement will be made because the success line of this matter will be a voice speaking for the voiceless. Maybe in that ministry or any other public spaces where such predominant or prevalent and it cannot make it to the news. But the betterment of the case, if proven, to a logical reasoning that, of course, the allegations were true and they were founded, then it means that the law will take care of his take his course, and those who probably have been victim over the years could now finally come and get justice.
And then what about the victim?
I'm saying the same thing. The victim, directly, and not for I alone, but for other persons who probably may not have that courage to get someone speak for them, or probably because of the impression as to the view of the society. It's a culture around here that such matters, people are doing it, what's so big deal about it and all that. But for some persons, it's a no-no. Some also could be pursuing the matter on grounds that it could also be a political reason, etc., etc. All those ones are neither here or there. The point is that if it is happening, then it should be curtailed. And of course, let the law has its course.
All right, thank you so much. And then the last story for today is from Russia. The Nigerian government has dismissed media reports claiming that Russia is consigning African students, including Nigerians, to fight in the war against Ukraine in exchange for visa renewals. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs confirmed that the Nigerian embassy in Moscow is in close contact with the Nigerian Student Association and has found no evidence of such conscriptions. The ministry urged media outlets to verify information before publishing. Despite these denials, reports suggest that Russia had been recruiting convicts and threatened migrants and students with deportation if they do not join the military. Ukrainian intelligence and European officials have indicated that Russia is enlisting foreign mercenaries from at least 21 countries, including several African nations, offering lucrative incentives. Meanwhile, the Russian ministry has faced heavy losses with over 1,200 casualties per day in May, according to the UK Ministry of Defense. Russia's recruitment efforts, including voluntary drives and coercive tactics, as the country suggest struggles with the manpower shortage in its conflict with Ukraine. Mr. Wells, face of all, we are aware of Russia and Ukraine war.
Absolutely.
it is not a kind of war, kind of battle that you can just teach someone within 2 or 3 days to come and carry ammunition and start fighting. These particular issues demand mercenaries, and they have to be professionals, except they just want to waste the lives of these people. But again, the federal government came up to say that this is what is going on. They are saying that for us to renew your visa, you have to belong to this particular, you have to join military to fight Ukraine. They still came up again to say, oh, that was false. But even as they are denying the fact that, no, that wasn't it, that the media carried a false information, they are still saying that. The Ukrainian are saying that, indeed, Russia, they have brought in a lot of mercenaries from more than 21 countries. What is your take? Because I know if you have not carried gun before, and then I'm ready to train you for 5 days to start fighting war, I don't know the fate. What do you think?
Okay, let's paint a picture from the offshoot of our last discourse with the outflows of some of these underdeveloped countries, you know, seeking opportunity elsewhere. Now, during the war, up until from 2002 till date, from both sides, either side have suffered some heavy losses here and there. And the beauty for Ukraine is that the majority of the European, coalition is on their side as against Ukraine, as against Russia. And based on that, Russia has also, in its routine of casualty, have also expressed, from the report since May, at least an average of 1,200 daily. And then it is telling you that manpower is affected, and the recruitment, strategies has to be, deployed. Now, you've seen some persons who left their country anywhere in the world who is probably underdeveloped country, and the report says incentives in the degree that you will not be able to say no, and to the fact that maybe I'm so sure that it will not just be a random, recruitment procedures. It's an offer for those who probably have been resident in Russia, and of course to ascertain their better life, and of course the future of themselves and that of their family. We've seen some of these things play out in some other privileged countries at war. Remember in the 70s and in the 60s during the Vietnam War with the Americans, and also in the 80s we've seen that all in the bid to getting victory. You probably want to go. I want to describe the Russian army as the one that wants to do everything necessary to ensure victory is ascertained. And from intelligence gathering, some of these rumors may not be far from true, because it is better that the mercenary is deployed and the mercenary will know that he's fighting for money and fighting for a better future. Now you're looking out for the real citizen who also want to stake their life for the nation. To reduce that casualty, it's better you deploy resources with and offer such persons who already are looking out for a greener pasture. And some persons will not budge as to that. Is it not for me to secure my future and my family? That's more reason why some will probably want to buy. So I want to think that there is an element of truth in the report as to that. Russia is now using mercenary to pursue their cause as far as the war is concerned.
Well, in terms of Russia using mercenary, is not really something that, we should just start breaking head for, because I know that there was a time that even Ukraine brought in mercenaries to also fight for them. So if they are doing the same thing, it's not something we should start talking about. But where I am concerned, of course, media, you can't hear two persons discussing, you don't have any business, you just pick up and put it on social media. Before all the way from Russia, this got to Nigeria, all right, and the federal government picked it up that this is what is going on. It means that someone actually brought this, or could it be that they have gone behind to talk to the person, okay, come up to say that this never happened? Because
it's an ongoing, um, process. And from the
what is ongoing process? What exactly?
I'm talking about, it's a reality on ground.
Okay.
And it probably filters. You cannot have a discussion with three persons and you ask everybody to keep it secret.
Exactly.
So you most likely want to make a diplomatic defense about it, that's unfounded, there are no evidences and all that stuff. But on the ground, that's apparently what's going on, because by the time in the theater of war, you are saying that a fellow that you're supposed to wear a gesture as nationals of the opposing side, and then you are seeing persons, and it's not one, it's not twice, it's not 100, and then you begin to say, what's going on here? So it's a practice in the garrison of war, but there again, the point is just that diplomatically, the governments will want to put up an effort to ensure that such is not concerned. Also to allay the fear of relatives and families here, that at least I know one or two relatives and children are out there. Some were unable to, repatriate the children on time before the thick of war. But basically, you also want to get an assurance, because you owe it a duty to do that. And then you probably will not want to give credence to some of these side talks as a where. And then you make a policy or a but then again, as to that, will people embrace such? Yes, there are people who probably want to do that, particularly in the third world countries, whose residency is at stake, whose visa is about to expire, and then they are giving an escape ticket, and the conditions attached to it is that you must be part of the war. And then otherwise you want to go back to where you came from, and then what are you going to tell them?
Is it not better you go back to where you came from than to stay and fight? But remember that majority of the mercenaries that were hired, they didn't survive it. Their history.
You say majority.
Yes.
There are casual, there are contractual agreement to ensuring that even after the eventuality happens, there are, severance benefit that come alongside. The point is choice.
So, well, this is war.
Yes. The point is choice. I've seen some persons over there tell you that they will do anything within the premise of legality to stay put over there and come back home.
Are you serious?
Yes. So basically, as we were saying, I don't want us to bring it down making insinuations. I just want to weigh it from both hands. You were talking about Nigeria with AD, implying that a system you never believed, and then you left that system, and then you now saw an opportunity. Yes, every day will tell you life is all about risk.
Well, that is
so the point is just that, yes, there could be an element of truth in it, but as to pinning it down with substantial evidence, you have to cover that up with a diplomatic representation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wells.
It's a pleasure being here.
And for those of you over there, this is war. Be very careful. All right, this is where we are drawing the curtain for today. I am Immaculata Ikana, and I hope that you are actually enjoying your holiday. This is Society Watch on Atlantic Television Network. We have platforms for you to follow. You can join us on all our media platforms: Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, X Atlantic TV Net. You can also watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. Remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you and good afternoon.